I 37 meters found texts proving my wife 38F cheated. Burner account. I've been noticing my wife acting strangely and always talking about a guy at work who rents out office space in her building. I've met him a few times and he seemed nice enough. He's married and has 3 kids, just like us. The more my wife would talk about him, the more I sensed that he was trying to advance their relationship. I told my wife my concerns, repeatedly, but she always brushed me off, saying I was being paranoid. Last night, she came home late from work, which is unlike her. When she fell asleep, I let my curiosity get the better of me and I looked through her texts. I found that they had just fooled around and were basically s-sting while she was on the couch next to me. I was livid and woke her up before I could read more. She said they kissed the night before and that they only did OL that night. She begged for forgiveness and told me she would be open and honest. When I said I wanted to read the rest of the texts, she deleted them, and blamed it on her panicking. I'm at a loss. Do I believe this was a one-time thing with this guy? Why would she say she'd be open and honest, yet delete evidence as fast as she could? Redditor's reactions, story 2 after. Redditor 1, I think you answered your own question and already know the answer. Something in your gut told you all along this wasn't right, and unfortunately it was true. I think you also know it wasn't a one-time thing and she wouldn't delete those messages if it wasn't more than that or lie about it to your face for weeks. You tried to do the healthy thing and communicate your concerns, and instead of her trying to unpack those things with you and work out a way forward where you are less uncomfortable, she gaslighted you and made your feelings irrelevant. I think the fact she couldn't respect you enough to come clean and let you see the messages and process it how you want also says a lot. She isn't being open and honest, and I doubt she is actually sorry. She is just sorry she has gotten caught. If she was, she would have come to you, spoken to you about it and gone from there. This is someone who she will be seeing regularly. They work at the same place. Considering how many lies you have caught her in, I wouldn't trust what she says going forward, but I don't know her or your relationship. Personally, I would want my partner the second that they started having these feelings for someone else or felt like something more was happening beyond a friendship to come to me and talk it out together. I'm sorry you are going through this. Trust your gut and do what you think is best. Counseling will really help you work through these thoughts and put together where your head is at. You deserve someone who won't lie to you or cheat on you and has just as much respect and love as you have for them. Someone who chooses you every day no matter who comes into the picture. If she can't and doesn't do that for you, I promise someone else will. Redditor follow-up, this. Without trust, any healthy relationship won't last. I think it's better to try looking forward and finding a solution for your relationship to affect your children and you minimally in the form of counseling. Redditor 2, this will probably not be a one-time thing. I'd also bet this wasn't the first time. You need to figure out what you want to do. I'd also absolutely tell dude's wife. Redditor follow-up, for sure, for sure. She deserves to know she's wasting her time with a cheater and a liar. Redditor 3, let's take your wife at her word for a moment. Say it was only one physical encounter, which involved kissing and OLS time. I am going to assume that you have snogged someone and had OLS time before. It isn't something that happens in an instant. It's not like stepping on someone's toe, or throwing a ball. It takes time. It takes a series of decisions. How do you feel about the fact that your wife decided to flirt? Decided to hang back with this man? Decided to kiss him? Decided to go to a secluded location? Decided to have time with him? That's a lot of choices made in sequence. This is why cheating is By definition, never one time. Story 2, my M33 ex-wife F38 doesn't know I know, and keeps trying to be friends with me. So I recently found out that my ex-wife was cheating on me months before we started seeing a marriage counselor. I was going through our 2-year-old's iPad, downloading some educational games and needed to delete the thousands of photos and videos our 2-year-old was taking on accident. Unbeknownst to me, my ex had linked the iPad to her Apple ID, and it was set to its default setting of sharing photos from the cloud. As I was deleting stuff, I suddenly come across dozens of photos and videos of my ex-wife naked. She never sent me any photos or videos like these. I looked at the date and time stamps and realized these were taken while I was attending trade school. We had a huge disagreement over the bedtime of our newborn. I couldn't understand why my ex refused to wake up after noon, and would stay up past 5 AM watching TV. Turns out she was escorting her cop friend who had a graveyard shift and emotionally cheating on me. He was playing devil's advocate and egging on her tendency to see the worst in me. I'm not the type of guy who gets jealous about and so seeing someone else, because that's them just being an awful human being. What I don't understand is how my ex could treat me like it and try to blame me for her unhappiness, and lie to me about everything. She accused me of trying to control her when I pleaded that she needed to change her sleeping schedule, because I was waking up at 6 AM to go to a trade school, keeping up physically with a bunch of ex-Marines, and coming home wiped out at 4 PM, going to bed at 9 PM. My ex would keep our child up at midnight and would get pissed at me for not helping her put our child to bed, when we both knew for months ahead of time that I would be going to this school, and tried desperately to get them both on a more appropriate sleep schedule. It's just so ducking stupid that she thinks we could be friends after what she's done to this family. She was the one who asked for a divorce, after she started hating everything about me, and well, you know how that goes. You can't change someone's mind when they start disliking someone and holding a relationship hostage. Redditors' reactions, story 3 after. Redditor 1, just tell her you know and to cut it out with the friendship attempts. You can stop protecting her honor and her peace of mind now, you're divorced. I know you wanna keep co-parenting civil, but just like her affair, her peace of mind is still coming at your expense. Redditor follow-up, just tell her you know and to cut it out with the friendship attempts. Pretty much. She finally screwed the guy, the endorphins are running out, and she realized she traded her security, image and marriage so some guy can pump and dump her in a parking lot and run from commitment. Put an end to it. She's insulted your intelligence and integrity enough. Redditor 2, if she can get you guys to be friends, then she can feel better that the separation wasn't so bad. I'd love to be friendly with my ex for the sake of co-parenting, but I also found the evidence on my kids' tablets because she linked them and forgot to sign out. Not just cheating but neglect, as it turned out she'd leave the alone at night sleeping when I went to work. If she was remorseful for the neglect, then I could probably forgive her, but she not, so it's hard to co-parent with someone you know could do it again. It's all grey rock. Only text, no face-to-face, quick short texts, and no friendly banter. When you are disgusted with someone, going grey should be applauded. Redditor follow-up, with evidence of that, revisit her having custody. Be honest. You can prove she put her affair before the kid, not just her marriage. Any real parent goes kids first, to at least the point of minimum expectations for their safety and well-being. Take that iPad to a lawyer as soon as possible. You may also complain to his department for his accessory role in the child endangerment and neglect. He knew she had a kid at home alone, and helped arrange it. She may have left the iPad in on purpose, as a head game. Don't play games with parenthood, it's not a joke. Her as a wife was. Don't forget she doesn't make a better mother either. Redditor 3, in her mind she is being a good person. She's reaching out trying to be friendly to the person that she blames for the destruction of the marriage. Why haven't you told her you know? I get that you are not the jealous type, but why? Op answer, because she gets irrationally angry. She will deny it and it's just not a battle I care for. I just want to spend as little effort talking to her as I can. Story 3, my wife 34F of 13 years cheated on me 35 meters with a friend of mine early last year. I tried to get past it, but I don't know if I can go on. We have 4 kids together and we had only been with each other. We hadn't even had time with anyone else before we got together when we were around 20 years old. I was away with the 3 oldest kids during a holiday early last year. She had to stay home because the little guy got sick. When I got back home after a week, I found out that she had been cheating on me. They had been talking on Snapchat for a month or so, and she had invited him over to our house. Things escalated and they had time on the couch. It took a whole week before she told me everything. At first she only said they kissed, but I just didn't believe that, so I kept asking her about it and she eventually admitted it. The guy lives close by, he's married and they have kids the same age as us. Their daughter often visits us. Me and him had been working out together, and we had been over to their place for dinner a couple of times. I still bump into both him and his wife every now and then at the store, school or picking up the kids from a birthday party. My immediate reaction was panic. My parents are divorced, so I always told myself that I would never do the same. She also reacted the same way and did everything she could to assure me that it was a mistake and that I'm really the man of her dreams. I did everything I could to fix things. We went to spa, couple therapy, starting talking about all the stuff we didn't master properly in the marriage. We started spending more time together and things kinda started feeling a bit better. I couldn't quite shake off the fact that I felt numb. When she said she regretted it, that she loved me and only wanted me, I never quite felt it. Still to this day, it doesn't really hit me when she says she loves me and I struggle with saying it back to her. I feel numb, half-hearted and I don't know if I can honestly say I love her anymore. I wish I could fix things, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to restore the feelings I have for her. I don't even know if I'm properly motivated. Some say love is a choice, but is it really? When I spend time with her, I don't feel present. We've never had that much to talk about, other than family and friends. We rarely discuss anything which I love or have interesting conversations. We don't enjoy the same topics, books, shows or movies on TV. There's nothing wrong about her, but she just doesn't have that many interests. She is, however, an awesome housewife, which is her own choice. Now that I no longer know what I feel for her, I struggle with finding reasons other than the kids, the house, and the practical stuff to still go on. I feel so guilty for thinking about leaving and the eventual pain I'd inflict on everyone around me if I do. As a side note, it might be worth mentioning that I caught her sending underwear photos of herself to another guy like 5 or 6 years ago. I eventually forgave her for that. Update on my wife 34F of 13 years cheated on me 35 meters with a friend of mine early last year. First of all, I'm moving on and we've rented a small apartment close by that we'll share for a period of time while we figure out a more permanent solution. Every day is just a reminder on how broken our relationship has been from the beginning. We've never argued much, but I realize now that's because we've never tackled the real issues. We just swallow them up. When I first found out about the cheating a year ago, she told me they just kissed. It took a week before she told me they had time. At that point she said it was an accident that happened once and that they panicked and he left immediately. Even though they'd been talking on Snapchat for 35 days straight, she said it was never time, not even slightly. I never fully believed this, and I confronted her with it many times during the year, but she never admitted it to be anything else or more. A week ago I couldn't help it anymore, so I went back on her phone and checked the logs from a year ago. I realized that things didn't add up at all. Location and search history told a very different story than she had been telling me. I confronted her about this and she finally told me they had time in the beginning of the month, then kept in touch every day for weeks before having it again. So when she invited him to our house at the end of the month, while I was away, she knew exactly what was going to happen. In addition to this, she went to a church dinner, riding in their car with his entire family the very same day that they had time, bringing our youngest son with her. She even invited them all over to our house for dinner a week or so later. This changes the entire story. It's infinitely worse than she first told me. I can't believe she could do something like this. I was going to leave before I knew about this, and now I'm just in shock how a person I trusted for so many years could do something like this, both to me and his family. I feel like all the effort I put into fixing this relationship was in vain, because the story she told me was a lie. I almost feel abused. She never opened up to how serious this was. Anyway, I'm happy to move on now, and I've been for a while even before knowing this. The main issue is that I need to relate to her for the rest of my life because of our kids. I have a hard time not building up a ton of resentment for her because of this, and I realize that I'll have to forgive her eventually. I want to be able to cooperate with her because of my kids. Their lives will be so much better if we do. Do you guys have any tips to how I should tackle this now? What should I do to move on in the most respectable way to my kids, myself and her? Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, also you should get a DNA test. Redditor 2, it's always worse than you think. Always? Redditor 3, forgiveness is bullshit, indifferent is what you should be looking for. You only need to talk about the kids, nothing else, move on with your life. You're very lucky you caught them. This was not a one-time thing or affair. She had a second life behind your back. Had you not caught them, this would have never stopped. Redditor follow-up, it's the meaning we put in forgiving which is bullshit. Forgiving is just accepting that the person isn't how we thought they was. Then you can be indifferent, civil, friendly, whatever. But that's not related to forgiving. Op answer, she knows, but I don't know what level of detail she knows. I have a feeling she just knows about that one time at the end of the month. Redditor 5, I've got to say, I don't think it was just twice. I know what you've said based on what she told you, but it's probably worse than you say. My ex did the we only kissed. Except the more you pry, the longer the relationship was going on and the more stuff they did. When you say she risked his family because she knew what she was doing, don't let your friend off the hook here. She didn't force him, and I bet it was mutual. They both risked their families. They're adult and couldn't keep the body part covered up. Really? It's not that hard. They planned things and they did it. You don't accidentally use Snapchat to communicate and sneak around when people are at work and then oops, not sure, I got naked and fell into you. Glad you're doing better. At some point you'll need to stop digging because it just won't matter, you know enough. And she clearly won't tell you everything, and if she did, you won't believe her anyways. I do think the other wife needs to know. She already knows some, so you can tell her you know more and offer to tell if she wants to hear. That's a tough one though. Half of me would want to have revenge time, but that's probably not the best idea.